Captain Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Silent Echo, watching the stars through the main screen. The ship looked old and tired, just like he wanted it to. Rust spots covered the hull and the engines made strange noises. Anyone who saw it would think the Silent Echo was ready for the scrapyard, but that was the point. "Captain, we're getting close to the target system," said Taemin from his station. The young man had been with the crew for 2 years now. His fingers moved quickly over the controls as he checked their position. "We should arrive in about 10 minutes. Hyunwoo nodded. "Good work. Send word to the others. I want everyone ready for a standard survey mission." The Silent Echo was supposed to be a research ship. That's what all the records said. It was listed as an old exploration vessel doing boring science work in empty space. The truth was very different. Down in the engine room, Yuna wiped grease from her hands. She looked like any other ship engineer, but she knew secrets that could change the galaxy. The Silent Echo's engines were not the old fusion drives they appeared to be. Hidden beneath fake panels and false readings were some of the most advanced systems humans had ever built. "Unit a bridge," she said into her comm device. "All systems are green. We're ready for whatever comes our way." Bora was in the medical bay checking her equipment. She was the ship's doctor. But she also studied alien life forms. Her real job was to learn about any new species they might meet. She hoped they would find something interesting in this system, but she also hoped it would be friendly. Jinho walked through the corridors, checking the ship's defenses. To anyone watching, he looked like a simple security guard. But Jinho had been a soldier for 15 years before joining this mission. He knew how to fight, and he knew how to win. Sujin sat in the science lab looking at data from their sensors. She was good with numbers and patterns. Her job was to understand what they found and figure out what it meant. Right now, the sensors showed an empty system with a few planets and nothing else. "This looks like a quiet place," she said to herself. Maybe too quiet. The Silent Echo moved through space like an old dog taking a slow walk. Its engines pushed it forward at a steady pace that seemed slow compared to modern ships. But inside the ship, everyone was ready for anything. Hyunwoo had been chosen for this mission because he was smart and careful. He could make quick decisions when needed, but he also knew when to wait and watch. The Silent Echo was part of something called the Gray Ghost program. The idea was simple: send ships that looked weak and old into unknown areas to see what was out there. "Captain," Taemin called out, "we're entering the system now. I'm starting the sensor sweep." The main screen showed a yellow star with several planets around it. Most of them were just rocks and gas balls, nothing special. But the third planet from the star looked interesting. It had water and an atmosphere that could support life. "Take us closer to that planet," Hyunwoo ordered, "but keep us at a safe distance. We're here to look, not to land." The Silent Echo changed course and moved toward the planet. Its sensors reached out like invisible fingers, touching everything they could find. The readings showed that the planet was indeed alive, with plants and maybe even animals. "This is good," Bora said over the comm. "If there's life here, we might learn something new." But Sujin was looking at different readings. Her screens showed something that made her worried. "Captain, I'm picking up some strange energy patterns. They're very faint, but they're there." Hyunwoo frowned. "What kind of patterns?" "They look like engine signatures, but they're not from any human ships." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew what this might mean. They were not alone in this system. "Taemin, can you get a better reading on those signatures?" Hyunwoo asked. The young navigator worked quickly at his controls. "I'm trying, sir. The signals are coming from the other side of the system. Whatever it is, it's big, maybe several ships." Yuna's voice came through the comm system. "Captain, should I prepare the special systems?" Hyunwoo thought for a moment. The special systems were the Silent Echo's real weapons and defenses. If he turned them on, the ship would stop looking like an old research vessel. But if there were alien ships in the system, he might need those systems to protect his crew. "Not yet," he said. "Let's see what we're dealing with first." Sujin's readings were getting stronger. "Captain, those energy signatures are moving. They're coming this way." Jinho appeared on the bridge, his hand resting on his weapon. "How many ships are we talking about?" "At least 10, Sujin replied. "Maybe more. And they're moving fast." Hyunwoo looked at his crew. These 5 people had been with him for years. They trusted him to make the right choices. He trusted them to do their jobs no matter what happened. "Everyone stay calm," he said. "We're a simple research ship doing simple research work. That's our story, and we stick to it unless I say otherwise." The alien ships were getting closer. Soon they would be close enough to see the silent echo. Hyunwoo wondered what these aliens would be like. Would they be friendly? Would they want to talk? Or would they see humans as a threat? Contact in 5 minutes, Taemin reported. The silent echo continued its slow journey through space, looking like nothing more than an old ship full of scientists. But hidden beneath its rusty exterior was enough firepower to fight a small war. Hyunwoo hoped he wouldn't need to use it. The stars watched silently as two very different species prepared to meet for the first time. The alien ships appeared on the main screen like dark shadows against the stars. There were 12 of them, each one bigger than the silent echo. They moved in a tight formation that spoke of military training and hostile intent. "They're surrounding us," Taemin said, his voice steady despite the danger. Moving into attack positions, Hyunwoo watched the alien vessels take their places around his ship. They were sleek and dangerous looking, with weapons that could be seen even from a distance. These were not exploration ships or peaceful traders. These were warships. "Are they trying to talk to us?" he asked. Taemin checked his communication systems. "Yes, sir. I'm getting a signal. It's some kind of universal translator system. Should I put it through?" "Do it." The bridge filled with a harsh, angry voice that spoke in broken but understandable human language. "Human ship, you will stop your engines and surrender immediately. You have entered space that belongs to the great Kaloth Empire. Your primitive vessel and crew are now property of War Commander Vextar." Hyunwoo looked at his crew. Jinho's hand was ready on his weapon controls. Yuna was waiting for orders from the engine room. Sujin was studying the alien ships with her sensors, trying to learn about their technology. "This is Captain Hyunwoo of the human vessel Silent Echo," he replied calmly. "We are peaceful explorers conducting scientific research. We mean no harm and request permission to continue our mission." The alien's laughter was cold and cruel. "Peaceful? Your kind knows nothing of peace. You will surrender now or we will take your ship by force. Your crew will be sold as slaves across our empire. Your technology will be studied and copied." Bora's face went pale. "Slaves?" she whispered. Sujin's fingers moved quickly over her controls. "Captain, I'm intercepting their communications. They're talking about capturing us alive for interrogation. They think humans might be useful workers because we have hands like theirs." Hyunwoo felt anger growing in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "War Commander Vextar, we do not wish to fight. Perhaps we can reach an agreement that benefits both our peoples." "There will be no agreement," Vextar snarled. "You are weak. Your ship is old and broken. You have no weapons that can harm us. This is your last chance to surrender." The alien commander cut the communication channel. On the screen, Hyunwoo could see one of the Kaloth ships charging its weapons. A bright glow appeared at the front of the vessel. "Incoming weapon fire," Jinho announced. "They're targeting our engines. Let them," Hyunwoo said quietly. The Kaloth ship fired a bright blue torpedo that streaked through space toward the Silent Echo. It hit the rear of the ship with a blast that should have crippled any normal vessel. The bridge shook slightly, but that was all. "Well, that was interesting," Yuna said from engineering. "Captain, they just gave us a nice little energy boost. Our power levels actually went up. The Kaloth had fired what they thought was a disabling shot. Instead, the Silent Echo's hidden shields had absorbed every bit of energy and converted it into fuel for the ship's systems. The old-looking research vessel wasn't even scratched. "Taemin, are you still getting their communications?" Hyunwoo asked. "Yes, sir. They're confused. They can't understand why their weapon didn't work." Sujin was listening to the alien chatter through her equipment. "Captain, they're saying our shields must be some kind of new technology, but they still think we're primitive. They're planning to use stronger weapons." Through the communication system, Vextar's voice returned, now sounding angry and worried. "Human ship, your defenses are better than expected. But you cannot hide forever. Surrender now, or we will destroy you completely." "I'm getting tired of this," Jinho muttered from his station. Hyunwoo was tired of it too. These aliens had threatened to enslave his crew and steal human technology. They had fired on his ship without provocation. They saw humans as weak creatures to be captured and sold. More alien communications came through Sujin's systems. She translated quickly. "They're talking about how much money they'll make selling us. They've done this before, Captain. To other species. They hunt down lone ships and weak colonies. Bora's medical training made her think about the suffering these creatures had caused. How many innocent people have they hurt?" "Too many," Hyunwoo said. His voice was still calm, but everyone on the bridge could hear the steel beneath it. 3 more Kaloth ships moved into firing position. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy as they prepared to shoot. "Captain," Yuna's voice came from engineering. "The masquerade is getting hard to maintain. If they hit us with everything they've got, people are going to notice that we're not taking damage." Hyunwoo looked at the alien ships on his screen. He thought about all the innocent beings these creatures had enslaved. He thought about other human ships that might encounter the Kaloth in the future. He thought about his crew who trusted him to protect them. "Yuna," he said quietly into his comm device. "Yes, Captain? Drop the masquerade. Show them what humans really build." There was a moment of silence from engineering. Then Yuna's voice came back and she sounded happy for the first time since the aliens had appeared. "With pleasure, Captain. Everyone might want to hold on to something." The Kaloth ships fired their weapons all at once. Bright energy beams and explosive torpedoes flew toward the silent echo from 3 different directions. The aliens expected to see the primitive human ship torn apart by their superior firepower. Instead, they watched in shock as every weapon strike was absorbed harmlessly by shields they couldn't even see. The old rusty research vessel sat in space as if nothing had happened. Then the silent echo began to change. External panels slid away to reveal smooth, advanced armor underneath. Hidden weapon systems emerged from concealed ports. The ship's energy signature jumped from almost nothing to levels that made the Kaloth sensors scream warnings. "What is that thing?" came Vextar's voice, no longer confident and cruel. Sujin smiled as she watched the alien communications channels fill with panic. "I think they're starting to understand, Captain." "Good," Hyunwoo said. "Now let's teach them why attacking humans is a very bad idea." The silent echo no longer looked like an old research ship. Where rust and worn metal had been, smooth black armor now gleamed in the starlight. Weapons that had been hidden behind false panels now pointed at the Kaloth fleet like the fingers of an angry god. "Mother of Stars," Vextar whispered over the communication channel. "What are you?" Hyunwoo stood up from his captain's chair. His voice was no longer polite and diplomatic. It was cold and hard like winter steel. "We are humans, and you just made a very big mistake." Sujin's sensors were now running at full power, scanning the alien ships with technology the Kaloth couldn't even detect. What she found made her shake her head in amazement. "Captain, these ships are using fusion engines and particle beam weapons. This is the same technology we were using 300 years ago. Compared to us, they're flying museum pieces." Jinho was now at the weapons control station, his soldiers' training taking over. "All weapon systems are online, Captain. We have target locks on all 12 enemy vessels." In the engine room, Yuna was finally able to use the systems she had been hiding for so long. The silent echo's real engines came to life, producing power that could light up entire cities. The fake engine sounds were replaced by the quiet hum of technology that was centuries ahead of anything the Kaloth had ever seen. "Their shields can't even register our weapons," Jinho reported. "It's like they don't understand that energy can exist at these frequencies." Bora was monitoring the life signs of the Kaloth crews through the ship's advanced sensors. "Captain, their heart rates are going crazy. I think they're in shock." The nearest Kaloth ship tried to fire again. Its particle beam struck the silent echo's armor and simply disappeared, absorbed and converted into more power for the human ship systems. "Your weapons are primitive," Hyunwoo said into the communication channel. "Your ships are slow. Your shields are weak. You attacked us because you thought we were helpless. You were wrong." Bexitar's voice was shaking now. "This is impossible. Our empire has conquered dozens of worlds. Our technology is the most advanced in this sector of space." "Was," Sujin corrected quietly. "Was the most advanced." Hyunwoo gave Jinho a small nod. "Show them." The silent echo's first weapon to fire was something the Kaloth had never seen before. Quantum disruptor cannons sent invisible beams of energy that passed right through the alien shields as if they weren't there. The beams struck the hull of the closest Kaloth ship and tore it apart at the molecular level. The alien warship simply came apart, its pieces floating away into space like broken toys. "One down," Jinho said calmly. The Kaloth fleet tried to scatter, but they were too slow. The silent echo moved like a hunting cat, faster than anything the aliens had ever encountered. Its next weapons were nanoswarm missiles, tiny machines that flew through space and learned from each defensive measure the enemy tried to use. 2 more. Kaloth ships exploded as the nanoswarms found weak points in their hulls and exploited them with deadly efficiency. "Impossible," Vextar breathed. Our sensors can't even track those weapons. That's because they're smarter than your sensors, Yuna said from engineering. In fact, they're smarter than your ships. The Silent Echo's most terrifying weapon came next. Gravitational field manipulators reached out like invisible hands and grabbed 3 Keloth vessels. The aliens inside screamed as their ships were crushed like tin cans, metal folding in on itself until nothing remained but twisted wreckage. 6 ships destroyed, Jinho reported. 6 remaining. Sujin was watching the enemy communications channels. Captain, they're begging each other for ideas. They don't understand how we're doing any of this. Bora's sensors showed that many of the surviving Keloth were having panic attacks. Their biology is interesting, Captain. It looks like they become very aggressive when they think they're stronger, but they fall apart completely when faced with superior force. The remaining Keloth ships fired everything they had at the Silent Echo. Dozens of particle beams and explosive missiles filled the space around the human ship. Every single weapon strike was absorbed harmlessly by shields that the aliens couldn't even see, let alone penetrate. Your turn is over, Yanwu said. Our turn now. The Silent Echo fired all its weapons at once. The space around the Keloth fleet lit up like a miniature sun as quantum disruptors, nanoswarms, and gravitational manipulators reached out to claim their targets. 4 more alien ships died in less than 10 seconds. Their advanced technology, which had conquered so many worlds, was no match for human engineering that was centuries beyond their understanding. 2 Keloth vessels remained, including Vextar's flagship. Both ships were badly damaged, their weapons offline and their engines failing. Please, Vextar whispered into the communication channel. Please don't kill us. We surrender. We'll do anything you want. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. These 5 people had just helped him destroy 10 alien warships in less than 4 minutes. They had revealed technology that would change the balance of power in this entire region of space. Sujin, what did you learn about their empire? He asked. Sujin's fingers danced over her controls as she analyzed the data they had captured from the alien ships. It's big, Captain. They control dozens of star systems, and they've enslaved 6 different species that we know of. Enslaved, Bora repeated, her voice angry, just like they wanted to do to us. Jinho was already thinking like a soldier. Captain, if we let them go, they'll warn their empire about us. They'll come back with bigger fleets. Maybe, Hyunwoo said. Or maybe they'll tell their empire about what happens when you attack humans. Taemin was listening to the Keloth distress calls. Sir, they're calling for help. But I don't think help is coming. Their nearest fleet is 6 months away. Hyunwoo walked closer to the main screen, looking at the 2 surviving alien ships. Inside those vessels were beings who had planned to enslave his crew and steal human technology. They were predators who had built an empire on the suffering of weaker species. Vextar, he said into the communication channel. Yes, human. Yes, we're listening. You're going to tell me everything about your empire. Where your fleets are, where your slave worlds are, how your government works, everything. Why would we do that? Hyunwoo smiled, but it was not a kind smile. Because if you don't, I'm going to show you what our real warships look like. Vextar's voice shook as he spoke through the communication channel. We'll tell you everything. Please just don't destroy us. The proud war commander who had threatened to enslave humans was now begging for mercy. His flagship drifted in space, its engines barely working and its weapons completely dead. Start talking, Hyunwoo said. For the next hour, Vextar told them about the Keloth Empire. It was worse than anyone on the Silent Echo had imagined. The Keloth controlled 47 star systems and had enslaved 6 different alien species. They used slave labor to mine resources and build their ships. They captured lone vessels and weak colonies, selling the survivors across their empire. Sujin recorded everything, her computers building a detailed map of Keloth space. Captain, they have major fleet bases in 12 systems. Their government is run by something called the War Council, and they've been doing this for over 200 years. 200 years of slavery, Bora said quietly. How many innocent beings have suffered because of them? Taemin was tracking the alien communications. Captain, Vextar's ships are trying to send messages to their empire. Should I stop them? Let them talk, Hyunwoo said. I want their empire to know what happened here. Jinho was studying the weapons data they had captured. These Keloth ships aren't built for fighting real enemies. They're designed for attacking defenseless targets, pirates with fancy uniforms. Vextar finished his report about the Empire's military forces. "That's everything," he said. "Please let us go. We'll never enter this system again." Hyunwoo walked around the bridge thinking. His crew watched him, waiting for orders. They had destroyed 10 Keloth warships, but the real question was what to do next. "Yuna," he said into his comm device, "can you track these ships if they try to run?" "With our sensors? Captain, I can track them across half the galaxy." "Good. Vextar, you're free to go." The alien commander's relief was obvious in his voice. "Thank you. Thank you so much. We're leaving now." The 2 surviving Keloth ships turned away from the silent echo and began moving toward the edge of the system. Their engines were damaged, so they moved slowly, but they were moving. Hyunwoo let them travel for 10 minutes. Then he smiled. "Taemin, activate the quantum jump drive." "Yes, sir." The silent echo disappeared from where it had been floating and instantly appeared directly in front of the fleeing Keloth ships. The aliens had barely begun to escape, and suddenly the human vessel was blocking their path. "What? How?" Vextar stammered. "Did you think our engines were as primitive as our disguise?" Hyunwoo asked. "We can jump across space instantly. There's nowhere in this galaxy you can hide from us." The Keloth ships stopped moving. They couldn't go forward because the silent echo was in their way. They couldn't fight because their weapons were broken. They couldn't run because the human ship was faster than anything they had ever seen. "What do you want from us?" Vextar whispered. "I want your navigation databases," Hyunwoo said. "I want detailed maps of your empire. I want the locations of every slave world and every fleet base. If we give you that information, you'll use it to attack our empire." "Yes," Hyunwoo said simply. "We will." Sujin was already hacking into the Keloth computer systems. Their cybersecurity was as primitive as their weapons. "Captain, I'm downloading everything they have. Star maps, fleet positions, government communications, even their financial records." "Excellent work." Vextar's voice became desperate. "You can't do this. Our empire is huge. We have thousands of ships and millions of soldiers." "Had," Jinho corrected. "You had those things." Bora was studying the medical data about the enslaved species. "Captain, some of these races have been slaves for generations. They don't even remember being free." "They will," Hyunwoo said. Sujin's computers finished copying the Keloth databases. "Download complete, Captain. I have everything we need." Hyunwoo opened a new communication channel, this one directed at Earth. The message would travel through quantum space, reaching human authorities almost instantly. "This is Captain Hyunwoo of the Silent Echo. Reporting first contact with a hostile alien empire. Request immediate deployment of Liberation Fleet to coordinates I'm transmitting. The situation requires significant military response." Taemin received the reply from Earth Command within minutes. "Captain, Admiral Mincio is personally leading the response fleet. 30 ships, including the Iron Will. They'll be here in 6 hours." Vextar had been listening to the human communications through his own sensors. 30 ships, but your ship alone destroyed most of our fleet. "The Silent Echo is a scout vessel," Hyunwoo explained patiently. "It's designed to look weak while gathering information. Our real warships are much more impressive." "How much more impressive?" the alien asked, though he probably didn't want to know the answer. Jinho smiled as he checked the specifications of the incoming fleet. "Well, Admiral Mincio's flagship produces about 50 times more power than the Silent Echo, and it has weapons that can crack planets." The color drained from Vextar's face. Assuming Keloth faces could change color. 50 times more powerful? "The Iron Will is our newest battleship class," Sujin added helpfully. "It's 2 kilometers long and carries enough firepower to sterilize entire solar systems." Bora was reading about the enslaved species and their living conditions. "Captain, according to this data, the Keloth use something called obedience collars to control their slaves. The collars cause pain if the slaves disobey orders." "Barbaric," Taemin muttered. Hyunwoo's expression grew colder. "Vextar, tell me about these obedience collars." The alien commander's voice was barely a whisper. They're standard equipment. How else would we control so many slaves? And you see nothing wrong with torturing innocent beings? They're just slaves. They exist to serve the Empire." Hyunwoo looked at his crew. Every human on the bridge was angry now. These weren't just aggressive aliens defending their territory. These were monsters who built their civilization on the suffering of others. "Change of plans," Hyunwoo announced. "Sujin, send a message to Admiral Mincio. Tell her we're not just dealing with a hostile empire. We're dealing with slavers who torture their victims. Request additional liberation ships. Yes, Captain. Vextar realized what the humans were planning. You're going to attack our whole empire. You're going to try to free our slaves. Try. Hyunwoo turned to face the main screen where the alien ships waited helplessly. Vextar, in 6 hours you're going to see what happens when humans decide to free enslaved peoples. Your empire built its power by attacking those who couldn't fight back. Now you get to learn what it feels like. The alien commander's voice cracked with fear. Please, we can negotiate. We can make a deal. The time for deals was before you threatened to enslave my crew, Hyunwoo replied. Now you get to wait here and watch your empire fall apart. In the distance, space began to shimmer as the first human warships prepared to arrive. Space itself seemed to tear open as the human fleet arrived. 30 massive warships emerged from quantum jump points, each one larger and more powerful than anything the Keloth had ever built. At the center of the formation was the Iron Will, Admiral Minseo's flagship. Vextar stared at the main screen in his damaged ship, watching the human fleet take position around his vessels. The Iron Will alone was bigger than most Keloth space stations. Its weapons could be seen even from a distance, and the energy readings from its engines made his ship's sensors overload. This is Admiral Minseo of the Human Defense Fleet, came a new voice over the communication channel. Captain Hyunwoo report. Admiral, we have 2 surviving enemy vessels and complete intelligence on their empire. The Keloth have been enslaving other species for over 200 years. I recommend immediate liberation operations. Agreed. All fleet commanders begin Operation Freedom. We have 47 star systems to liberate and millions of slaves to free. Vextar's voice was barely a whisper. 47 systems? But that's our entire empire. Sujin looked up from her station. We know. We copied all your databases, remember? The human fleet began to move. Ships broke off from the main formation and disappeared into quantum jumps, heading for Keloth worlds across the galaxy. Each human vessel carried enough firepower to destroy entire Keloth fleets, and they moved faster than anything the aliens had ever imagined. Captain, Bora said, I'm getting reports from our fleet. The first liberation operations have already begun. 3 slave worlds have been freed in the last hour. Taemin was monitoring Keloth communications across their empire. The aliens are panicking. Their military commanders are trying to organize resistance, but they can't move their fleets fast enough to respond. Jin Ho studied the tactical reports coming in from the human fleet. It's not really a war, Captain. It's more like a cleanup operation. The Keloth ships can't even damage our vessels. Admiral Minseo's voice came through the communication system again. Captain Hyunwoo, excellent work uncovering this slave empire. Your crew will receive full honors when this operation is complete. Thank you, Admiral. What about the survivors here? Keep them. They can watch their empire fall. Over the next 6 hours, the Keloth Empire ceased to exist. Human ships appeared at every major Keloth world simultaneously, overwhelming the alien defenses before they could react. The advanced human technology made the battles completely one-sided. Sujin provided running updates as reports came in from across Keloth space. Slave World Alpha 7 is free. The humans are removing the obedience collars and providing medical care. Keloth Fleet Base Gamma 12 has surrendered without firing a shot. The aliens there are begging for mercy. What about the freed slaves? Bora asked. They're in shock mostly. Some of them have been slaves for so long they don't understand what freedom means. Our medical teams are helping them. Vextar listened to every report, watching his empire crumble in real time. This is impossible, he kept saying. We were strong. We were powerful. You were bullies, Hyunwoo corrected. You built your strength by attacking the weak. When you met someone stronger, you fell apart immediately. The Iron Will moved closer to the silent echo, and Admiral Minseo's image appeared on the main screen. She was a small woman with gray hair and hard eyes that had seen too many battles. Captain Hyunwoo, she said, I'm promoting you to Commodore and giving you command of the new Frontier Exploration Fleet. We need more people like you and your crew out here. Thank you, Admiral. What will happen to the Keloth? The ones who surrender will be given trials. If they're found guilty of crimes against other species, they'll be sent to work rebuilding the worlds they destroyed. The ones who fight back, and she shrugged. They won't fight back for very long. Taemin received another communication update. Admiral, the last Keloth fleet base has just surrendered. Operation Freedom is complete. 6 hours, Jinho said in amazement. It took 6 hours to destroy an empire that had existed for 200 years. Admiral Minseo smiled grimly. That's what happens when bullies meet real soldiers. Sujin was compiling the final reports. Total Kaloth vessels destroyed over 3,000. Human casualties 0. Freed slaves, approximately 50 million beings from 6 different species. 50 million, Bora repeated. 50 million people who were slaves this morning and are free tonight. Vextar finally spoke again, his voice hollow and defeated. Why did you do this? You could have just left our space and never returned. Yunwu turned to face the alien commander's image on the screen. Because slavery is wrong. Because attacking innocent people is wrong. Because someone had to stop you. But we never attacked your people before today. No, but you attacked others. And humans protect those who can't protect themselves. Admiral Minseo's fleet began to disperse, heading to various Kaloth worlds to begin the long process of rebuilding. Some ships would stay to help the freed slaves learn to govern themselves. Others would hunt down any remaining Kaloth military forces. Admiral, Hyunwoo said, what should I do with these 2 ships? Take them to the nearest freed world. Let the former slaves decide their fate. Vextar's image disappeared from the communication channel. His ship and its companion vessel followed the silent echo through quantum space to a world that had been a slave colony just hours before. The planet's surface was covered with cities, where millions of beings had worked in factories and mines for Kaloth masters. Now human medical teams and engineers were on the ground, removing obedience collars and beginning the process of healing centuries of damage. Vextar, Hyunwoo said as they approached the planet, the people down there will decide what happens to you. Some of them might show you mercy, some of them might not. What would humans do to us? Put you on trial. If you're guilty of crimes, you'd work to fix the damage you caused. If you're innocent, you'd be free to go. And if we had won today, if we had captured you, Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment, you would have sold us as slaves. That's the difference between us. The 2 Kaloth ships were taken down to the planet's surface by human transport vessels. Vextar and his surviving crew members would face justice from the people they had enslaved. Bora received a final report from the planetary medical teams. Captain, they've removed the last of the obedience collars. The former slaves are free. And the other enslaved species? All free. The human fleet has liberated every slave world in Kaloth space. It's over. Sujin was already preparing her final report for Earth Command. Captain, should I include our recommendation about expanding the Grey Ghost program? Yes, there might be other slave empires out there. We need to find them before they find us. Taemin set course for their next assignment. Where to, Captain? Hyunwoo looked at the stars on the main screen. Somewhere out there were other species, some peaceful and some hostile. Some might be friendly neighbors. Others might be predators like the Kaloth. Continue the mission, he said. Let's see what else is out there. The silent echo left the former Kaloth world and headed back into deep space. Once again, it looked like a simple, harmless research vessel. But now every species in this region of the galaxy had heard the story. They knew what happened when aliens attacked humans. Some species chose to make peaceful contact, hoping for trade and friendship. Others decided to stay far away from human space, which was fine with everyone. The Kaloth Empire was gone, but its former slaves were building new lives as free beings. The galaxy was a little bit safer and a lot more free. And somewhere in deep space, the silent echo continued its mission, looking for new worlds and new species. Its crew was ready for whatever they might find, whether it was a friend or an enemy. The stars watched silently as humanity took its place among the powers of the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as liberators.